Hey there guys, what is going on? It is Gilride back again with another Genshin Impact video, and today we're going to be looking at a bit of a discussion topic. Now before we get into it, of course, it has been a minute since I've uploaded on this channel. I will be honest and say I kind of wanted to figure out where I was in terms of the content creation space. Of course, if you guys don't know, I have a Twitch channel which I prioritize effectively along with my work at 59 Gaming, especially on their anime channel 5990 Manga, and I kind of left the YouTube channel aside for a little bit just to try and figure out what exactly I wanted from the channel. Now I know YouTube is probably gonna hate this video because of such a huge break, but if you guys go on to enjoy it, and if you guys have any thoughts yourselves, hit that like button, and of course also comment down below what do you guys think of today's topic and discussion video, which I mean you've already seen by the title what it is. But for those of you who ignored the title for some reason, today's video is going to be about our expectations from Sumeru. For those of you wondering what is Sumeru, for those of you who are very much casual players, Sumeru is a upcoming region in the world of Teviat in Genshin Impact. We are predicting it is going to be the next region based on the initial trailer we got at launch where, you know, they said, oh, you know, the prologue is Mondstadt, chapter 1 is Liyue, chapter 2 is Inazuma, and then chapter 3 is Sumeru. And on top of that, we've been recently getting a lot of, you know, characters and NPCs talking about Sumeru. For example, we have a big mushroom in the chasm lower levels who talks about being from Sumeru effectively, and just in general we've been seeing a lot of the academia characters also feature in Inazuma as well through various world quests, storylines talking about Sumeru, and so on and so forth. So they are definitely ramping up to Sumeru. I've been seeing a lot of people say that Fontaine is also a possibility, but I highly doubt it because that would mean the initial trailer the plan since the initial trailer has gone completely haywire. But also on top of that, I can kind of see where people are coming from because Fontaine as well is getting a lot of referencing in the game itself. I do think it's still going to be Sumeru, but Fontaine is definitely after Sumeru, at least based on the trailer as well. Now, expectations from Sumeru. I know a lot of people are expecting various things, you know, ranging from you know, the characters, the element, the region itself. So what I did was a couple of weeks back, at the time of this recording, it is a couple of weeks back, I think it's like 3 weeks ago, kind of got distracted by the whole delay situation from Genshin, you know, with 2.7 being delayed and everything. I had to figure out what was going on with that, as well as trying to figure out how I wanted to schedule out content, right? But a couple of weeks ago, I posted a tweet asking a lot of people about what they wanted from Sumeru, seeing what they would like. And the first thing I saw a lot of people talk about, and this was to be expected, was of course the Dendro element. Now, Dendro has been getting a lot of leaks here and there about like, oh, you know, it's going to do this with this element, do that with this element, and I don't want to necessarily post it on screen right now because things can change, and especially with this delay, they might think of something a lot more different to what we're actually gonna get, right? So I don't want to necessarily put stuff and predictions on screen, but I want to talk about what people expect and want from the Dendro element. So, for example, one of the guys that has responded to my tweet has said that, you know, they want to see how Dendro works for a unit. Will it be sort of like a trapper element? You know, that could be really useful in many cases. And a lot of people are of course referencing the fact that there is only currently one reaction with Dendro when we attack the Samatrolls as well as the Dendro Slime, is that it is only with the pyro element. So people are interested to see how it operates with other elements like electro and hydro, or cryo even, for example. And to me, I think I'm most interested in Dendro and electro myself, because for me, the combination of Dendro and electro is very, very, very important, because right now, arguably, Electro is one of the weaker elements in the game, like period. I'm sorry, but that's how it is. You know, Pyro, Cryo, Hydro are just better elements. Their reactions are way better. Even the resonance for Electro is probably the worst one. I would say probably Hydro is a little bit worse because Hydro is just healing bonus, but it doesn't change the fact that Electro is somewhat of a weak element in the game. You know, we've gotten really strong units for Electro with Raiden and Yae Miko, but there aren't enough to they aren't enough to make it so that the, you know, the Electro element as a whole is insane, right? And so I would love to see Dendro react with Electro in a way where it's ridiculously powerful, because right now the balance between the reactions are sort of not exactly great, to be honest, because you know that Melt and Vaporize are far and away like clear, and then Freeze is such a powerful element as well, being able to trap units in one spot effectively, like, right? And then you see Overload, which is great, but the knockback doesn't really help you out. And then of course we see Electro Charge, which is not bad again, but it's not really amazing either. And then Superconduct is good, but again, nothing too crazy yet again. So Electro's reactions are definitely a lot weaker compared to the reactions that you get between like Pyro and Cryo and Pyro and Hydro and stuff like that, right? So I'm very curious to see how they handle Electro plus Dendro, and just in general I'm also very curious to see how they handle the Dendro Resonance as well. I'm really hoping it's something great, because right now we have Pyro, which increases attack, Hydro healing bonus, Electro extra particle, Cryo increases crit rate, Geo decreases resistance if I recall correctly, and then Anemo is of course like, you know, movement speed and stuff like that, right? Which is really good. All of them have their own unique things, but I'm really hoping Dendro Resonance is good as well. The next thing we obviously have to talk about is the characters and Archon that will be featured in Sumeru, and specifically the Dendro characters in Sumeru. A lot of people are expecting, you know, obviously the waifu characters. We've seen some people requesting for big titty Dendro mommies and a blonde mommy type character. So there are people out there that just want the characters to look good, and I agree. I really want the characters to look good. I think Inazuma's designs have been really cool. You know, the likes of Raiden, Ito, you know, you got EA Miko. They've all been really nice. A little bit generic for some of them maybe, but I really like all of them. They're really well designed characters. And I don't think I have a character in mind that I really just dislike completely, you know. I really like the design for a lot of the characters that Genshin has provided, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they have on offer for when it comes out in Sumeru, you know, what characters come out in Sumeru. Some people even refer to Cyno or Cyno. I think it's Cyno. Cyno is the character that we saw in the trailer. You guys will probably see it on your screens right now. It's the guy that appears in front of the trailer, in front of the introduction for Sumeru, kind of like how Ayaka did and Diluc did, as well as Ningguang. So Cyno seems to be a very interesting character. I know there's some stuff from the webtoon or the web manga effectively that talks about him recently and stuff. And in all honesty, he is a character that I'm very much looking forward to. We also had one person in contradiction, because we know Cyno looks like he's gonna have a polearm at the very minimum, who said Derpy, he doesn't want a character that has polearms at all. And it's fair enough, because to be honest, we've gotten a lot of characters that use polearms, you know, recently. It's ridiculous how many characters have had polearms. We've had Shene, Raiden, then we've had Zhongli. There's too many of them right now that have been coming out consistently and are polearm users. Hu Tao as well, right? So I'm very curious to see how they handle it. I mean, we know Cyno is probably going to be a polearm based on that trailer. So in all honesty, I mean, that expectation is already down the drain, Derpy. I'm so sorry about that. But in all honesty, I'm very much looking forward to the characters in Archon. And one thing I want to talk about the Archon, and we'll kind of use that as a segue, is I'm very curious to see who the Archon actually is. Right now, we know that it's Kusanali, if I'm not mistaken right now. That is the apparent Archon, but we have no idea if that's the real Archon or not, because there are suggestions and theories that she's actually not the Archon of the region, and she's like sort of like a dummy Archon, effectively, sort of like a sort of hidden Archon, like somebody who's just a cover if anything, right? So it's gonna be very interesting to say the least. And let's talk about the lore now, right? A lot of people are talking about the lore of Sumeru. You know, there's been stuff that has been talked about in the game itself, saying that, you know, Sumeru is not the same as it used to be. There's something going on in Sumeru that isn't right. There is something going on. Like, for example, right now we have marvelous merchandise going on, right? And Libin, the character that we interact with during this event, is talking about Sumeru at the start. When you first talk to him, he talks about Sumeru, and he says there's something going on, there's something happening, you know. And Frank Blast, one of the people who replied to my tweet, said, you know, lore-wise, I expect something dark. Every NPC from Sumeru is a researcher of some type, and I expect some dark secret to be exposed. Yeah, I have to agree. I think that would be amazing. And there are other people who are talking about, like they want to see a larger view of Teviat as a whole. Right now, we've seen, a lot of stuff going on between the regions of Liyue, Mondstadt, and Inazuma primarily. Only now are we getting an expansion on the stories of Fontaine and Sumeru. We need to see more of this, and I have to agree with this response. We do need to see a lot more when it comes to how is Sumeru handling the relations with Lisa being in Mondstadt and stuff, right? And people, segregating themselves away from Sumeru. Where is Natlan in all of this? We haven't heard a single thing from Natlan. We've seen a lot about Snezhnaya, we've seen a little bit about Fontaine, we're starting to see a lot more about Sumeru. We've already experienced Inazuma, Liyue, and Mondstadt. Where is Natlan in all of this, right? And how are people figuring out and understanding the, how are people approaching the whole idea of an Archon, this modernization? How are the effects of what's happening in Inazuma and Liyue going to affect Sumeru, right? With the loss of, the decree being shut down in Inazuma, or being eviscerated basically in Inazuma, and the loss of the Archon in Liyue. It's going to be very interesting to say the least. And one more person added on to the fact that what I talked about earlier on with the Archon, and some truth about it, because we don't know if the Archon in Sumeru is actually the Archon of the region. We still don't know. We'll have to just figure that out. Of course, what is a new region without talking about the environment? A lot of people are hoping for the region to be expansive, a mixture of desert and tall trees. We know that the region is somewhat based off of the Middle East, Egypt, India. There's a lot of theories going on around about what the region is going to look like, and I expect a little bit of a rainforest mixed with a little bit of a desert region. I think it is going to be like India, a little bit like sort of reminiscing the region of Rajasthan. And for those of you who don't know, it's a very dry region. There are trees and stuff in there, but it's a very dry, deserty sort of region. You guys can go check it out for yourselves on Google. It's a very beautiful region as well, in my opinion, and I think if they can nail something like that, mix in a little bit of Egypt, mix in a little bit of Middle East, but also mix in a little bit of, the rainforesty areas from India, it'll be a beautiful, beautiful region, in my opinion. I think it'll be insane to see maybe the expansiveness of a desert and, just open-endedness, because that's also something that's really nice. Right now in Genshin, we have a lot of mountainous regions and some foresty regions. We don't necessarily have something that's really just vast and open with like sand dunes and stuff. I think that would be fantastic, to say the least. And it'll be something very interesting to see if they have a mechanic attached to it. Maybe it's if you get too hot and you've not drunk anything, you will probably start to lose HP, something like that, right? Something similar to the cryo infliction you get at Dragonspine. That would be great. A lot of other people also want something really weird and out there, some amazing puzzles and, stuff that's out of the ordinary. And I have to agree with that. With Sumeru being a bit more of a region based on, knowledge and the intelligence of characters, the puzzles have to be like top tier, like nearly impossible levels without a guide. Absolutely would be unbelievable. We kind of got that in a form in Inazuma, at Watatsumi Island with the dices, I think it was, right? It was really sick. That was a very, very much a challenge for a lot of players, and they couldn't figure it out until like a couple of tries later. That would be great. And then finally, I think a lot of people just want new enemies to fight and ascension materials to collect. I mean, that's to be expected. It's something that I think a lot of people want and are hoping for sure. Now, of course, the one thing that every Genshin player wants, and this is not just from Sumeru, this is just in general, but hopefully the addition of Sumeru will provide us with new endgame and unique content. Yes, endgame and unique content. This is something that people have been asking for a very long time, and in all honesty, even I can see it now, right? As much as I don't mind necessarily the fact that, all we get is just a new event every single week, and sometimes they're very boring, very basic, sometimes they're cool, very nice. I think an endgame isn't necessary, or something that they can use from previous events and make it permanent in the game. Like for example, I feel like the tower defense mode should be made permanent. I feel like the create a realm thing or create a domain thing that they did should be in the main game and permanent, but what they need to do is allow us to add enemies into it. I think that would be unbelievably fun, and it would be really cool, and you can attach a daily or a mission to it every single week. So for example, if you clear 5 created domains, you get 100 primo gems for that week. Or if you create your own domain and people play it 5 times a week, that's also 100 primo gems. That would be so sick, and it would be a great way for them to add something into the game. Now, a lot of other people have mentioned some stuff that they want. Kelbert here asks for more co-op events. Absolutely agree. A lot of people have the most fun in the game when playing with friends, like he said, and I know a lot of people who strictly co-op. Great, I think that's something that's necessary. Twitch person here wants more things like new replayable gameplay and something that's not necessarily just based in Sumeru, but more so it'll happen consistently. Shouldn't just be a solo one-off thing for sure. And I have to agree. And obviously the main thing that he also wants is just improvements on other aspects to the game, in terms of, like, I assume more so in the form of like adding more endgame content or adding more things to do, improving the artifact system and stuff like that. That is definitely something that they definitely need to do for sure. Sora here wants to go a little bit extra, I must admit. Give me an arena that I can fight every enemy in the game in at the same time, and I take double damage and there's 50 waves. And if my character dies, they get deleted from my box. You know what? I agree with the first part. The second part is a little bit harder to agree upon. But no, I 100% agree. I think there should be a sort of endless wave kind of format, kind of like how you have in Arknights the annihilation mode, if I'm not mistaken, that's what it's called, right? Where you effectively go up against 300 enemies or something, and you have to place your units correctly. You cannot lose any lives or anything of that sort, and you need to make sure you can beat all of them to gain the max rewards. That would be sick. You know, you get a certain amount of rewards. Say like there's 10 waves, right? 10 waves in a fight, and you can do this once every month or once every half patch, effectively once every 3 weeks. That would be what you can do is, like, say 10 waves. For every 2 waves you clear, you get a certain like reward for clearing every 2 waves, and then by the 10th wave you got the max rewards. I think that would be sick. It's something that they should probably focus on doing, is expanding upon the end game unique content, but also focusing on the quality of life stuff for sure. It's something that's necessary, and I'm hoping that they do. It would be great to see if they ever end up doing it, to be quite honest. And then of course Edwin over here says new end game content please, which I have to agree on. Now before we wrap up, of course, like I said earlier on, this is hopefully going to be my return to YouTube, so I'm going to be posting this video. There should have already been a video about Zenless Zone Zero gone up earlier this week, so be sure to check that out. Of course, it's completely new game by Hoyoverse, and I'm very much looking forward to it. We'll definitely be covering the game over on my channel over here. And then of course, if you guys did enjoy this video, hit that like button, and of course comment down below what is your most what is your most wanted thing from Sumeru. Be it endgame content, unique content, be it the region, be it the characters. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say down below in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see y'all next time. Take it easy, everybody.